Originally, when I first saw the Fey Ranger, I was disappointed. The previous Dreadful Strikes ability from the Unearthed Arcana encouraged dual welding. The 7th level ability was exactly what Rangers want to have. Smites, ones that can be ranged, expending a spell slot to deal 3d6 psychic damage. They can make a single enemy unable to see or hear them as their capstone, as if they're charmed, which is incredibly flavorful and cool, because, and we have abilities that when we interact with charmed targets, add bonuses instead of just charming them. It was the perfect, unique Charm Ranger that did cool things like smites and dual welding. It was perfect. At least that's what I thought. But they scrapped that all for something different. With Tasha's, it became just another charm class that was good at social checks, and 2 of their abilities were basically just spell effects. Though eventually, I was able to overlook my disappointment and realize something. The 11th level ability. This ability is Fey Reinforcements. At 11th level, the courts of the Feywild have blessed us with the assistance of Fey beings. We know the summon Fey spell, and it doesn't count against the number of ranger spells we know. We can cast this without the material component. Not to mention, we can cast it once without using a spell slot, and we regain that ability to do so after a long rest. Also, when we start casting it, we can modify it so that it doesn't require concentration. If we do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute for the casting. Now, this isn't limited to the casting it without using a spell slot, which means we can upcast it and have it not use concentration. And out of all the single summoning spells, Summon Fey is one of the best. So, what is our goal here? Well, we need high slots in order to take advantage of this. And we also need advantage to take advantage of those attacks. And we have concentration or something else. This leads to a ton of options. And let's get right into it. Oh, we are choosing ASMR for our race as usual. Okay, it depends if we're going strength or dex. You'll see those different builds, right? So it's either 17 strength or 17 dex. Or even if we can make it so our weapon is charisma, 17 charisma. But we need at least 13 wisdom and at least 13 dex. Constitution isn't necessary, but it's nice. And then, at least 13 charisma. We are, of course, going to start with Ranger, Tasha's Ranger. No surprise there. At first level, we're going to go with the normal stuff. We're going to take favored foe instead of favored an enemy. And then we're going to take, instead of taking Natural Explorer, we're going to take the alternate ability, which first just gives us expertise, and then later is going to give us the usual stuff we talked about before. So then we go another level into Ranger, our fighting style. Okay. The thing here is we have an option to go archery in some of these builds. So if we go archery, take archery. If not, take something else, because they're, in some things, melee might be the best option. Also, we get spells, again, like just Hail, Thorn, Sever Strike. These are all just burst damage, because we're not using Hunter's Mark, because we already have our favorite foe ability. 3rd level, finally, we get our subclass. Now, this is, we get 2 abilities, Otherworldly Glamour, which just allows us to get a bonus to our charisma checks equal to our wisdom modifier, and we gain proficiency in a charisma skill. But that's not what we really care about. We get spells, for one. We get Charm Person at 3rd level. But the main important part is Dreadful Strikes. At 3rd level, we can augment our weapon with Mind Scarring Magic, drawing from the Gloom Halls of the Feywild. When we hit a creature with a weapon, we can deal additional D4 psychic damage, and a target can only take this damage once per round. This ideally, which is why it's great, would be ideal with range, though there's more abilities that had 2 melee damage. So, because we want to hit multiple targets. But there's no way to do this if we get back out and so on. 4th level, we get an ability score improvement, Sharpshooter, or Great Weapon Master. No surprise there. 5th level, we finally get extra attack, and second level spells for our subclass is going to be Misty Step, and we don't get a lot in terms of ranger spells in that regard. Spike Growth has its own specific belts, but now we're going to 6th level, and our favorite foes boost to a d6. Report. So, we are dealing, either way we can deal, well, we're either, if we're doing Great Weapon, we're doing a d10, because we're going to have Pole Master eventually, so, or War Cleric, but d10 plus, or if we're doing a d8 if it's long ago. So let's just do a d8 for damage. It's incredibly different, but so it's going to be, we're making 2 attacks, so it's going to be 9 damage plus we're making again 2 attacks, so it's going to be favorite foe added twice, so it's going to be 7 more, and then we have a +3 to our modifier, so it's going to be 6 more damage, and then d4 from our favorite foe, so it's going to be 5 more damage, and then we get 10 from Great Webmaster or Sharpshooter. That's twice as 20, and then our level is 6, so we add 6 more damage to that all. So altogether, that's 53 damage. Pretty on par with what we try to get at this level. So we're looking pretty good. Now, 7th level, we get our second ability for Fey Ranger. Beguiling Twist. We advantage against saving throws against being charmed or frightened, and if a creature within 120 feet succeeds on a save against being charmed or frightened, we can use a reaction to force a different creature to make that wisdom saving throw against our spell DC. If it fails, it's charmed or frightened by you for 1 minute, and repeat the save at the end of its turn. Again, great ability, throws a damage, not really going to help us. 8th level, we get another ability to increase. We're just going to bump up Dex / Strength or Charisma. Then we go on to 9th level, and we get 3rd level spells. As a subclass, this is going to be the spell Magic, but the main one we're looking for is Haste. Of course, we're going to have to go the Rakdos background to get this. It may not be necessary in certain builds, but Haste is a great option, and at low levels is going to increase our damage by a lot. 10th level, we get a d8 for our favorite foe damage, but we're not really using it anymore. And we also get Tireless, so we can add those 10 hit points, but it's kind of irrelevant at this point. 11th level, we finally get our ability to summon Fey. So, since it's non-concentration, that's free damage added on. Let's do damage report now. So Haste, we can make 3 attacks. Each attack is going to be, each attack is going to be 9, plus, now at 11th level, our phase strikes are d6. So plus 7 from our phase strikes. So as a damage, we now making 3 attacks. So a d8 for each. Then our phase strikes are now a d6. So d6 more for each. And then 4 is our modifier, so plus 4 for each. And then Sharpshooter added on to each of those. We have now 11 damage from ASMR. And then our Fey Ranger gets 2 attack, and they deal 3 plus the level we cast it at, which is just 3 at this point. So that's basically just 6 for the damage, and it's a d6 plus another d6 added on in force. So that's going to be 2d6 plus 6 for each attack, and we only make 1 attack at this level. So not great. Dealing 90 damage altogether. Again, adequate, but we will get better. Now we go 12th level. We're finally switching out of Ranger because we want better spellcasting levels. We're going to go 1 into War Cleric. We don't have a way of dealing I have a bonus action at this point. This makes it easier because it's another full caster level. It's wisdom. It's just simple. Then we're gonna go. This is why I want to go into melee for this particular build, is because of Spores Druid. Again, also wisdom, so no loss there. And again, our temporary hit points are scantily, but a d6 to each of our attacks is nice. So at this point, we're a 9th level full caster, and we're 14 levels in, which means we have 6 levels left. You probably already guessed it, Blade Singer. Now, okay, we have no Warlock levels, so our Eldritch Blasts are not going to have Agonizing, or even Explains Curse for that matter. But this is going to give us 8th level slots. So this means that we can cast we can cast a Summon Fate at 8th level, which is going to be 4 attacks, plus 11 to the damage. And then we can use our concentration to summon another one at 7th level. Because we're not doing much with Eldritch Blast, it's just better. Well, there's 2 options. We can either do Eldritch Blast or we can do Green Flame Blade. If we do Green Flame Blade, we make 3 attacks. D10 plus 5 plus 10 plus D6 from strikes plus D10 from spores. And then Chromatic Dragon, a D4 more. 3 attacks, and then we add 3D6 onto one of them from Green Flame Blade, 20 from ASMR. And then now we have 2 Summon Phase. So that's going to be 2d6 plus 11 per attack, which is 4 for the first one, and then 2d6 plus 10 3 times for the second one. This is going to be 123 damage total for just the Fae, and added all together is 247 damage. Ranger Dip, this is a build with 11 levels in Ranger, and we're doing great. We're not even doing Eldritch Blast. If we did do Eldritch Blast though, and sacrifice one of our levels, either War and just do the butt of the weapon, or do sacrifice Spores, because we do get that other damage from our proficiency modifier. It's slightly higher actually. It's because we can add Agonizing at this point because we do have a level. But again, Multiclassing is a bit of a mess, but it is 254. Now, that is if we choose to use our concentration slot for another Summon Fae. But they may not be the most efficient choice. Okay, well, what if we do exactly the same thing? Let's do Hexblade this time. Do Spirit Tread instead, because we have 7th level spells still. So that's going to be essentially we'll have to use 6th level for our Fae though, because if we choose Hexblade, we don't get out of level spells. So it's only going to be 40 damage for our Fae, but we have to choose Polar Arm Master as well, so we're really stretched for feats here. But that's why it's probably best just to go Charisma for our attack modifier. So we just have to have decent stats for everything else. But so because Fae Ranger has to, the Dreadful Strikes has to be against different targets, we only get to do that once because we want to do the same for Hexblade's Curse on all those targets. And we had Spirit Shroud, so that's going to be 100 damage from Eldritch Blast, and then 144 damage from our 2 attacks. Our other attack, Blade Singer attack, and then our bonus action with the Polar Arm Master. Altogether, this is 262 total, which is better. Again, it's not as rangery, it's just another Spirit Shroud build. I'd much rather do the double Summon Fae and take that slightly less damage. Again, it isn't technically necessary to have Blade Singer, only if we want to do Eldritch Blast. We could instead go 5 into War Cleric, still get that bonus attack, still keep Wisdom, and 3 into Echo, and 1 into Hexblade. Now, again, going to have much lower spell slots. Our highest is going to be 6, which means that is only, again, 48 damage for our Summon Fae, but we do a lot more damage with our main attacks because we do 4 of them. Bonus action, extra attack, Echo. But again, we're not going to make many attacks with our Echo because our Constitution isn't great. But we can. And Spirit Shroud, again, we'll have to use a 5th level spot, so only 2d8. That's great. Overall, the total damage is 224. Again, nothing to scoff at, obviously, but to sacrifice so much, especially so much at the core of the build, for this mediocre, mostly melee fighter isn't really worth it. But there is one more option. It's terrifying. This option is, now remember how we talked about Tether Essence on previous builds. Again, it's a bit sketchy whether or not we can do it from 6th lore, but if we can do that instead of Bladesinger, we still get 8th level slots, which means our Summon Fae is going to make 4 attacks, 2d6 plus 11 each attack. Now remember, because it's Tether Essence, we are doubling that damage, so the damage we're dealing with our Summon Fae is 144. And then we're making 3 attacks, normal, extra attack, bonus attack, because we still have more Cleric in this version. And then we have, each of them is going to be spreading. We still have, our concentration is just spent using Tether, but we have Spores, we have Dreadful Strikes, so d6, d6, and then Chromatic d4, Sharpshooter for plus 10, and then plus 5 from our normal modifier, times 3, and then all of that doubled is 177 damage total, plus 40 because our ASMR damage is doubled too, and then plus our Fae Ranger damage is 363 damage. It's beautiful and terrifying at the same time. So, again, we at least hit over 200 with Fae Ranger, with a Ranger, getting that free concentration, non-concentration, Summon Fae, really, not only that, but we also have ways of increasing our weapon damage. It's honestly, surprisingly, despite how much I like the UA version more, not only the best Ranger builds, but one of the best just builds in general. So, thank you for watching. This is Sean from Deck Dungeon, signing out.